So today I'm going to talk about Saturn for Capricorn Ascendant. Saturn is ruling first and second house for Capricorn, and hence it is a benefic. Capricorn Ascendant is usually very dutiful and concerned about managing their material life, like a job, family, income, status, recognition, and professional achievements. Because Saturn is a materialistic planet and it wants to achieve external success. It does not want to achieve, but it wants to maintain the basic necessities of life because Saturn is survival. So, Capricorn Ascendant generally can be very focused on managing their family and their life because Saturn also rules second house for them. So, let us see what Saturn does in each of the houses. When Saturn is in first house, the native can be a little bit slow and cold, detached, responsible, and not very friendly unless Venus is also there. Here, Saturn can make a person very dutiful and more concerned with his own business. Business, in the sense, is life and his own problems. Because the second lord is in first house, this person will be very concerned with money matters, maintaining the family, taking responsible decisions, and very disciplined person. Here, Sun should not join Saturn because that can give ill health. Because Saturn's enemy is Sun, which is the eighth lord. From here, Saturn will aspect the fourth, so this can show a lot of childhood troubles at home, and maybe the person was not provided a basic care and nourishment. Saturn also aspects seventh house, which will delay the marriage. And Saturn, if it is retrograde in the first house, some health issues can be there. And Saturn can also aspect the 10th house, which is an exalted aspect because Saturn is exalted in the sign of Libra. Saturn aspect in the 10th house is good for career, but it shows the career progress will be slow and steady. And Saturn in the first house is good for Capricorn, but generally Saturn in the first house does not do well because it is a Marana Karaka Sthana for Saturn, because the first house is ruled by Mars naturally. Mars is a quick planet which needs to act immediately, like a soldier who is seeing the enemy advancing towards him, needs to act at that moment. But Saturn is a slow planet and it does not like to act very fast. So these people can have trouble in taking quick decisions, and these people might have trouble when they have to act quickly without considering the consequences. Because Saturn is very calculative planet, it wants to do things on its own time. That might be a problem with these natives. That is why Capricorn is very slow and they take informed decisions. So Saturn in the first house can slow the person, which is not good if they have to be in a very competitive environment, because you have to be quick in today's world. But Saturn here can make the person very slow. So that is the only disadvantage. When Saturn is in the second house, it is good. Again, it shows some childhood difficulties, or the person had a economic crisis in their childhood, or their parents could have had financial troubles. But still, Saturn will give good results here after 34. Saturn aspects the fourth house here, and in the case of the first house, the Saturn does aspect the third house instead of the fourth. So, for the first house, Saturn can restrict the siblings when it is in the first house. In the second house, it will aspect the fourth house more strongly. And the fourth house aspect here shows some lack of connection with the family or with the mother, because this is a debilitated aspect. Saturn is aspecting his debilitation sign. So there can be problems with land and inheritance, property matters. Because the fourth lord Mars is exalted in the ascendant for Capricorn, so these people always get property, but they get problem due to that because the Saturn is debilitated in the fourth house. So Mars is exalted in the first, but the Saturn Lagna Lord is debilitated in the fourth. They always have problem with home country, property, land, real estate, education, schooling, basic comforts of life can be a problem for these natives. Saturn will aspect the 8th house. So again this will restrict the relationship with in-laws, and Saturn will aspect the 11th house. This will bring slow gains in life. As I said, after 34 the native will earn more. But these two are inimical aspects. Saturn does not like Leo and Saturn does not like Scorpio again. But the aspect on 11th house is good because the original house of Saturn is 11. So here Saturn will protect its gains, and the person will save well when Saturn is in the second house. The person has a habit of saving money and saving for the rainy days. When Saturn is in the third house, it's good because Saturn does well in third, sixth, 10th, and 11th. Saturn will aspect the fifth house, which will delay children. Saturn here will also make the schooling a little bit difficult. Here it can show a sibling who is born after so many years after the native, like 6, 7, 8 years. If there is aspect of Mars from the ninth house, then the relationship with the siblings can be difficult or distant. Saturn will aspect the ninth house, thus it will indicate foreign travels, but after 30. Saturn will also restrict the relationship with the father here due to its aspect on the ninth house. Saturn will also aspect the 12th house of foreign travels. Again, it will bring foreign travels, but after a certain amount of age. Saturn in the third is good. If Jupiter is in first house, then it will give an exchange, which is good for the native. And Saturn in the third will restrict the communication of the person. The person may not communicate on time or may speak very little. Even in Saturn in second house, people they control their words and speech, but sometimes speech can also be harsh with Saturn in second, and they may be prone to telling lies. Saturn in the fourth house is debilitated. So if Mars is in the exalted in the first house, then it can be good. The person can get a lot of property and inheritance, ancestral properties. Saturn in the fourth will aspect the sixth, which is good because Saturn is restricting the enemies and restricting the diseases. So this will be a favorable aspect. Saturn will aspect the 10th house, where it will exalt aspect. So this is favorable for career. The career would be stable but would progress in a very steady manner. Saturn will also aspect the ascendant, which is again good because Saturn is aspecting its own house. So for Capricorn, when Saturn is in fourth house, even though it's debilitated, its aspects are all friendly to the sixth, to the 10th, and to the ascendant, which is good. When Saturn is in the fifth house, again it's good for wealth and children. Saturn here will give at least one children for whom there will be a lot of responsibility. You have to take care of the child. Saturn is in Taurus, which is good, a sign of friendly Venus. If Venus is placed in the 10th house, then it will be very good. Or Venus is placed in the ascendant, then there will be a lot of benefits through investments also. But these investments would be very long lasting, like 10 years, 15 years returns. Saturn here will also delay the children and also delay the marriage of aspect on 7th house. Its aspect on the 11th house would also delay the wealth, but again slow income and slow building of wealth is seen. Saturn will aspect the second house, which is good. Again it aspects two money houses, which is 11th and the second. So Saturn here would bring slow gains. When Saturn is in Taurus, it does bring wealth. Many millionaires and billionaires are seen with Saturn in Taurus actually. When Saturn is in Gemini, it will be good because the Lagna Lord is in the 6th house. It will bring the native into court cases, litigation, but this will be favorable for the native. The native would surpass the enemies and would come out successful because Saturn is in the sixth house is an Upachaya and does well over time. Here the native can have a stable job and does not like to change the job. And Saturn will aspect the eighth house and will also improve the longevity of the person. And Saturn is in aspecting the 12th house, so it will delay the foreign travels and foreign journeys, but it will bring eventually. Saturn aspects the third house, so the native might have problems with siblings and younger siblings or restrict their relationship with them. Saturn is in the seventh house. This can give a somewhat cold marriage, a cold attitude towards a spouse because Saturn and Moon are enemies. It gives a long marriage, but the native and spouse may not be very close to each other. Saturn will aspect the ninth house, it will delay the fortune of the person and it will also restrict the relationship with the father. Saturn will aspect the fourth house, so again the distance relationship with both the parents because fourth house is mother and ninth house is father. Saturn will also aspect the fourth house because it is the career of the marriage partner. So Saturn here will restrict the career, but it would be stable. Saturn in the seventh for Capricorn can take them to foreign lands and they will settle in abroad because seventh house is Digbala for Saturn, but the sign is not good. Cancer is also again foreign places and foreign lands. So this placement can give foreign settlement for the native. Saturn in the 8th is not very favorable. It can bring health issues because it is in the sign of Leo. There can be heart troubles, cholesterol, blood pressure and all that. So care must be taken. Some remedies can also be done on Saturdays if Saturn is in 8th house. Saturn will aspect the 10th house. It's a good aspect. It will bring the stability to career. Saturn is aspecting the second house. It will bring the wealth but will delay it. Saturn aspect the fifth house of children, so number of children may be restricted. Maybe they just have one child or they have to take a lot of responsibility for the children. Saturn is in the ninth house, is good placement again. Foreign settlement can happen, but it will disturb the relationship with elder sibling because Saturn is aspecting the 11th house by its third aspect. Saturn is aspecting the third house of younger siblings also. Again, the relationship with younger siblings will be affected here. Saturn will aspect the 10th house, which is 6th house, which is favorable. So there can be success in court cases. Job can be stable. And there is also less possibility of having diseases because Saturn will restrict the diseases here and also the enemies. Let's say Saturn is in the 10th house. It's again a very good position. The Ascendant Lord is exalted in the 10th, gives rise to yoga. Saturn will aspect the 12th house here. This is a neutral aspect. Again, it will restrict the foreign journeys, but it will bring them due to work. Maybe the person can go abroad. Saturn will aspect the 4th house of homeland, so it will bring conflicts with the mother. It can separate the native from the homeland and mother. Saturn in 10th also can give foreign settlement sometimes because it is aspecting the 7th house from the 10th house and the 4th house. So when the Ascendant Lord is in the 10th, the native can be far away from the home because it is the 7th from the 4th. And the Ascendant Lord is in the 4th house, the native is close to the country. When Ascendant Lord is in the 10th house, it is opposite of 4th house. So it is indicating foreign settlement. When Saturn is in 11th, it's a good position, but Scorpio is not a friendly place for Saturn. So here the native might get money through illegal means sometimes. So native must be careful not to take any bribes or something like that if he's in something profession related to police or something like that. Saturn here will give distance with elder siblings and the health can also suffer because Saturn will aspect the third house from its position. It will aspect the first house by its third aspect. Saturn will aspect the fifth house of children, again restrict the number of children. Unless there is a favorable aspect of Jupiter to the fifth house, the children can be restricted here. And when Saturn is in 11th house, it will bring slow gains to the native. But the gains would be steady, and it would be lasting. It will not get wasted. When Saturn is in the 12th house, again this again settlement abroad, because the Lagna Lord is in the 12th house. The person can work in foreign companies, and after 28 30, the person can go abroad. If Jupiter is also placed well in the 5th or ninth house, then there is a chance of foreign settlement, because Saturn will aspect the 6th house of job from the 12th house, so it indicates job in a foreign land. So for Capricorn Ascendant, Saturn is favorable in the 1st, 3rd, 5th, 6th, ninth, 10th, 11th, and 12th houses, except for in the 4th house where it's debilitated. It may not cause much problems, and in the 8th house where it's in the house of enemy sun, and the 7th house where Cancer is there, other houses are okay for Saturn. But when Saturn is in the 7th house, it will also get Digbala, so it's good for a long marriage, but again the emotions might be very cold here. So I'll connect you with another video. Until then, it's bye.